Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the OnePlus 13, the latest flagship from OnePlus. This actually comes in 3 different colors this year with a Midnight Ocean, Arctic Dawn, and Black Eclipse. We also have some different RAM options here. This one in particular is 16 gigabytes with 512 gigs of storage, and it's Arctic Dawn. I haven't seen this yet, it's still sealed, but let's see if we can open this up here and take a closer look. So let's see if we can get this off here. So unfortunately, I left my unboxing knife, but let's go ahead and pull the top off of this here. This is the first time seeing this, so it says never settle. And it looks like maybe we have a case here. So let's see what comes in the box. And we've got a SIM card ejector tool, quick start guide, and safety guide. We also have an adapter here. It looks like USB-A to USB-C, so maybe for transferring information. Let's set that aside and see what we've got in the box. So here is the OnePlus. Let's see what else we have in here first, and then we'll take a closer look at the phone. So we have the charger here, the Super VOOC charger it looks like. You can see it here, where we have the power supply unit it says, and this has some pretty impressive charging speeds. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then of course we've got the proprietary sort of USB-A to USB-C cable for the super fast charging. So let's set this aside and take a closer look at the phone itself. So let's take this sticker off the back. Then we'll take the cover off. That looks really nice. And you can see what it looks like around the outside edge. So on the right, we have a power sleep wake button. This is very shiny, very high gloss with a volume button. On the top, it looks like we've got a microphone or maybe a few microphones here. Then on the left-hand side, we have the switch here for silent or different modes, which is always great to see. On the bottom, we have USB-C with the speaker and a couple microphones along with a SIM card tray. Let's see if we have any expandable storage. I don't believe we do, as we already have 512 gigs of storage. We have a little gasket here for IP rating we'll talk about in a moment, but you can see the SIM card tray here, SIM 1 and SIM 2. Now this actually has a quad curved glass display. It looks like we've got a pre-installed screen protector. You can see there. And this comes in at 210 grams or 7.41 ounces. It's 8.5 millimeters thin, and it has ceramic guard glass. Now, a quick comparison with the previous generation, the OnePlus 12. I personally was not a huge fan of this emerald color, but I know some people absolutely love it, but it looks very familiar compared with the new one. I really like this Arctic color, the Arctic Dawn, and the overall look is very familiar, but a little bit different as we have a couple different options here this year. It also feels a little bit thinner and definitely a little bit lighter, but it has some great specs. IP68 and IP69 submerged in water with IP68 for 30 minutes up to 1.5 meters, or IP69 is 80 degrees Celsius water jets projected at the phone from 4 different directions. It can withstand that, no problem apparently. It has a Snapdragon 8 Elite, 12 gigabytes of RAM or 256 gigs of storage, or the 16 gigs of RAM with 512 gigabytes. Before we boot this up and talk about the display as well, this has a 6,000 milliamp hour silicon nanostack technology battery, along with 80 watt wired fast charging 1 to 100% in just 36 minutes. It also charges with 50 watts with wireless charging. The display, let's go ahead and turn it on here. We have a Quad HD display, 3168 by 1440 at 510 pixels per inch. It has 120 hertz. They call it a Pro XDR display, and it's the first DisplayMate A++ rated display. It goes up to 4,500 nits of brightness. So let's give it a second to boot up here. And it also has radiant view in sunlight, where it doesn't just boost the brightness, but it analyzes contrast and saturation and grayscale and dynamically boosts the brightness of individual pixels. It also has a glove mode, Aqua Touch 2.0 to use it with a wet display, and it even works inside a bag when it's a little bit wet as well. Something I was really happy to hear is this actually focuses on PWM. That's the way it controls brightness, and typically an iPhone is around 240 hertz, and some Samsung phones go up to 480 hertz. That still can bother your eyes. However, this uses 2160 hertz, so it really shouldn't bother anyone's eyes. It's even certified by Rhineland Eye Care 4.0. So that's great. Let's go ahead and set this up. We'll select next. We'll go to the United States here and get this set up. So let's see what we've got. It says set up using another device, Android or iPhone, or you can skip it entirely. We'll skip for now. We'll connect to Wi-Fi, and this is using Oxygen OS 15, which is 20% smaller storage usage than Oxygen OS 14. It also has 4 years of software updates and an additional 6 years of security updates on top of that. So this should be something that we probably haven't seen before, really. Again, we'll wait for it to boot up, and I also have a wood grain magnetic half-pack case that they included with it. So let's go ahead and not copy data. We'll check for info. I just want to get to the home screen first. I can set up the account and everything else a little bit later, but we'll give it just a moment. We'll skip. And we can unlock using a password, fingerprint, or your face. Let's set up fingerprint here. Numeric. Again, I'll come back and set this up later. And it's protected with a security chip. Now we can set up the fingerprint here. So we'll go ahead and add that with the ultrasonic fingerprint, and we'll go to Google services, and it says getting your phone ready. And then we'll skip OnePlus for now, recommended services, and navigation. We can use gestures or buttons. I prefer gestures, and it says you're all set up. Let's go and see what we've got. It says notifications and quick settings. We can use split or classic, so you can use whatever you'd like. And this is the main home screen. So it looks pretty great. The overall display is very crisp. You can see that here. The colors look vibrant, and the overall speed so far, we really haven't used this much, but everything seems to be super smooth. And of course we have an update as well, so I'll need to do that. But you'll see how smooth this is. It's pre-installed with Google's Gemini and Netflix, it looks like. And we can swipe to view more apps within the widget, which is really nice. Now, one thing I've heard a lot about is this camera. This camera is actually the 5th gen Hasselblad camera as far as the main camera on the back. So what we have is a 50 megapixel Sony sensor, f1.6. We also have a 50 megapixel ultra wide at 120 degrees and a tri-prism 50 megapixel telephoto zoom lens at about 73 millimeters. It's 3 times optical zoom. We also have an LDAF sensor as well. It has dual exposure algorithms. It captures a short and long exposure and merges them. You can also press and hold the shutter button for an all-new clear burst, and it has 4K Dolby Vision HDR video at 4K 60. You also have master mode for full manual control. So this is something I need to use a little bit more, and there we go. It says exclusive Hasselblad watermark. We'll turn that off for now. And then, of course, it says try a smart scene. Another thing it has is hybrid antennas that use not only the frame, but also the camera surround for better connectivity. Now, I'll be using this for about a week or so to see what it's like. See right there, we can just unlock it quickly. I'll use it for a week or so, see what it's like, see what the cameras are like, and then we'll talk about the good and the bad of the overall device. So I'll get it updated and everything else. But before we do that, let me go ahead and take a look at the wood grain magnetic half pack case. So we'll open it up here. And let's see what we've got here. It says for the best wireless charging experience, please place the wireless charging cover between the back of the Arctic Dawn version of the OnePlus 13 and your phone case. So you want to put this between it apparently for the best charging and see what it's like. So I guess you can put it right here like this, which is something I don't think I've seen before. And then we can place this on like this if we want to use it. Now, I really like the way this phone looks without any case on it whatsoever. I like the white back or the Arctic Dawn. So let's remove this here, and you'll see it's completely open on the top or bottom, but it does protect a little bit. And as far as the screen protection, it doesn't have a whole lot, but it does have raised edges here. But it is real wood grain, or at least it feels like it. And let's see if we can remove that. So I'll use it for a week, like I said, and then we'll talk about what it's like. Now, I've been using the OnePlus 13 for about a week or so, maybe a little bit longer, and the overall experience has been pretty great overall. I wanted to share the good and the bad, though, as there are some positives and a couple different negatives. The first positive, though, has to do with the speed. It's incredibly smooth and fast, and every time I pick this up, I'm pretty amazed at how smooth it is. From the animation speeds to the overall usability, going into things such as the camera, back out, or maybe you just want to close out of everything. It's nice and fast, it optimizes everything, and just the overall experience is pretty good in general. The next great thing is the battery. Battery life, having a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, well, that will get you through a day, no problem. I actually have been using this, like I said, regularly. I'm down to 80%, and just using it throughout the day, you can expect probably about 7 hours of screen on time. It depends on your use case, of course. If you're playing heavy games or you're just using it for maybe YouTube or something else, you're going to get through the day no problem. But that's not really an issue, as this charges so incredibly fast. That's of course one of the major positives about OnePlus, is this charges to about 100% in about 35 minutes, and it definitely does that. So if you need to charge up, even if you don't want to charge throughout the night, just plug it in, start charging, or even set it on the 50-watt wireless charging SuperVOOC or AirVOOC dock. It's just crazy fast overall. And going along with both of those, Oxygen OS just feels very smooth and generally pretty good. I am logged in as far as my overall account, just not into OnePlus, but I like the overall layout of the design. It's super simple, it's easy to understand, and going into things such as battery with balanced mode, and you'll see I didn't use it today as much, but last used was 11 hours and 24 minutes, and we're at 80%. I've found that standby on this is incredible. They've really optimized it, and it beats any other phone I've used on standby mode. I left it for a few days and only dropped a couple percent. So that's pretty impressive overall. Of course, just everything is really easy to read. It's laid out well, again, super smooth, and an enjoyable experience overall. So no real issues here with the OS. It looks pretty standard as far as Android, but has a few nice touches on it. So just scrolling through, being able to scroll through some widgets, things in general are just a nice experience overall. Now, of course, you'll get updates for this well into the future, with 4 years of updates and 6 years of security updates. The overall display looks really great. It goes incredibly bright, so you can go really bright outside if you need it, and bring it down when you don't, or just have it manage it on its own. Now, the nice thing is, watch how smooth this animation is. As I go to the bottom, there's a little haptic feedback. Go to the top, I can feel that it's there, and as I move in between, it's letting me know with haptic feedback as well. Again, this is just a testament to what they've done with the OS. It's a really refined experience. Now, OnePlus says there's a lot of different AI features. A lot of it has to do with photos, but you have your typical ones built in from Google, such as circle to search. So we just want to search for YouTube here. There we go. And it will find what we're looking for. So it has what you would expect from it, Google Lens and all of that other stuff that's built in, and of course some additional updates with the overall camera with that. So intelligent search, AI notes, Magic Compose, and much more. I personally don't find I use that very much, but it's just great that it's here with the OS. Now, when it comes to the overall display, that's one of the things that's good and bad, is it's curved on the edges. Now, this may or may not be something you care about. The curve makes it nice to bring your finger across or your thumb as you're scrolling, but some people really would prefer a flat display. So this really is up to you, and it's subjective as well. The overall cases is one of the things that I find is, again, subjective. I actually really liked the sandstone case from the original OnePlus. They do offer some different backs here, and we have the wood case here as well. So it's nice that they have this offering. Some of them are great, some of them are not, but it's nice to have those offerings. And so it's good or bad depending on which case you want, if you want to use a case or anything else. When we're talking about the overall cameras, the cameras are really great with photos. However, some of the video is not. So if we take a look at some of the photos I've taken, if we go in, you'll see I took a few different ones, and I'll show them larger on the screen here. So let's dismiss that, as I don't have the backups on, but I took some simple ones around my house. Also the next one just down a trail that's nearby, and a few other ones as well. Those were pretty good overall. Some selfies as well, and incredible macro shots. You can see here, this is sort of a wood banister on my house going up, or a railing, and in macro you can get incredibly close to the wood grain, so that's impressive. The overall flaring is pretty controlled as well, although there is a little bit of flares. And when it comes to the night shots, or just different city shots I took in the city of Charlotte, this is where I was impressed the most. So if we take a look at one of the photos here, we're just zoomed out a little bit, you can see the tower in the background, and then I zoomed out into ultra wide and went back in, and now you can see the detail up close. This is incredible what it looks like. So Pro XDR, as they call it, you can zoom in and see additional detail. It's just very impressive overall. Another thing too to notice here is in this same shot, you'll see there's a building back here. This is the truest building. You can see the detail here, but look how close I can get with the overall zoom. So this doesn't look incredibly great, but it shows you the idea that you can get close, but the next photo is right up on the logo. So look how far away I was before. So we'll go back, and I was way back here. So it allows you to get very good detail even at night. I've been very impressed with the camera overall, and it does a great job. You'll see this is down my sidewalk, how it handles lights. And there's some details here with the Duke Energy building, where you can even see what looks to be the scaffolding on the roof from a very far distance at night. So again, very impressive overall what this is capable of. So I think the camera is great. The selfie camera does not have autofocus, it's fixed focus. But if you want to take video, that's where it falls short. So take a look at some of the video here. This is just walking down a trail. It gives you an idea of what it looks like. If we take a look at some of the video as we're zooming through it, that's again where I wasn't that impressed. So this is a really great general camera, but not when it comes to video, I've found. So I had it in 4K, made sure it was in 4K, but it just doesn't look that great to me. So when we're in the video modes, we can go higher than that. But again, typically when you go to 8K, it just doesn't look great as well. So 4K at 60 frames per second or 8K at 30 frames per second. It's got the detail, can do HDR, but in general, I found that the video camera just didn't look that great. But the photo camera with auto HDR, macro mode, all these photos that I took in this video, I didn't do anything to. All untouched, just took the photo and continued on. So I'm pretty impressed with it, just not for the video. Now, another negative for some people will be that this has a plastic back. Being that this is an $899 or $999 phone, they actually told me this after I did the unboxing, once they gave me additional details. This is a very expensive phone that doesn't have as premium of a feel as far as the back goes. However, if you put a cover on it, whether that's the wood one, the sandstone, or anything else, that's going to make that all different. So it really depends on how you're using it, but if you're using it without a case, it doesn't feel as premium as some others in the same price range. So that may or may not be good or bad for you. As far as anything else, well, reception is generally good. No issues there. It has a new antenna system. I do find that I get LTE more than I would expect. I would typically think I'd get 5G more, but it just depends where you live. And the overall experience, like I said, is great. Another thing I love that they still have is this little silent switch here, where it has a couple different notches or detents where you can switch between silent, vibrate, and ring. And this does have a lot more to offer as far as AI features and more, but just using it for a week has been a great experience, and it's really a great phone, especially because of its charging speed and battery. So hopefully that helps you decide if this is something you want to pick up, or if maybe something you want to compare with other phones as well. Let me know what you think of the OnePlus 13 in the comments below, and if you have any additional questions, I'd love to hear from you there as well. If you haven't subscribed already though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.